taken the lead here at Villa Park, and they celebrate in front of those seasons.
We're back. We're 2 days late. That's mostly on, everyone apart from Nate and Nick, to be honest. Nate has nobly fallen on his sword because he can't be here tonight, but some of the rest of us can. Joining me to talk through not one, but 2 games is Nick and Jim. How are you tonight, Nick?
Yeah, I'm all right. I was just saying to Jim before we went live that I completely forgot we were doing this today. It's completely thrown off my weekly schedule, and so I imagine the rest of my week is going to go absolutely swimmingly.
Excellent. And Jim, thanks for joining us. Welcome back. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad that we've got an extra game under our belts because I was far grumpier on Monday than I am today. So
Now, see, that's interesting because I thought the performance on Tuesday night was worse than the performance on Saturday, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Let's get straight into it. We've got 2 games to go through. So, Saturday, Stevenage versus high-flying Huddersfield. We lined up with the 3 centre-backs, 2 wing-backs, 3 in midfield, 2 up-front formation that we've started doing recently. Good Sweeney, Freestone as the centre-backs, Wildin and Early as the wing-backs, because that's basically all we've got who can do that job. Houghton, Phillips, White in midfield, Reed and new signing Matt Phillips starting up front about 2 days after signing. I thought Matt Phillips' start was excellent. What did you guys make of it?
Yeah, I mean, we're collecting Phillips like we were collecting Thompsons a couple of years ago, so it's always nice to keep it interesting with what's going to be next. But yeah, I mean, I said it after Saturday that instantly you could tell that he'd played at that level above consistently for the last, well, I think he's probably done 12, 13, 14 years of his career. I think it was the 11-12 season was the last time he was playing in League One, which is pretty ridiculous, really, for someone who's still, well, I'm not going to say only 34 years old because I'll get some shit for that, but he's 34, so he's probably still got a couple of seasons to go, and to be at League One as your first drop down the divisions at that stage is pretty good going. Yeah, on the ball, you could tell he was comfortable. It wasn't about could he get hold of it. It was could he do something with it. And we have lacked that quite a lot. If you've not got someone like Chem or Phoenix on the pitch, it does make it more difficult. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed his hour before he had to come off.
Yeah, he gave us something we'd been missing, and that was the ability to collect those longer balls and bring in his teammates when his teammates got anywhere close to him. And that's something we've been sorely missing. It would have been nice to see him get a goal. He had that chance where he was put through on his left foot, and the keeper made a good save coming out and kind of smothering the shot. So that's the only blemish, really, and that's kind of as much on good keeping as it is on him. Jim, what did you make of this one?
Yeah, as you said about Matt Phillips, I thought he had a great start. I assume that we took him off because we're managing him back in. Looking at his stats and stuff when we signed him, I think I was in a great number of people that said, well, he'll fit in great. 8 starts and no goals and a yellow card. That's not exactly a great season so far, but he looked busy, he looked lively, positive, held the ball up really well. A lot of stuff, like you said, Nick, that we've been missing. And yeah, I called him getting subbed off before he got subbed off, and it was clear how well he was doing by the way the crowd reacted when he went off. But yeah, it was a good start. I mean, the game overall, I don't think. Well, the stats will tell us that Huddersfield didn't really offer very much. But I was probably grumpy with the changes. I think we'll come on to those in a bit. But I was sure. Grumpy because, yeah, we'll get into it.
Yeah,
well, I'll give you the stats as you mentioned them, shall I?
Yeah.
So Huddersfield had 52% possession, but only mustered 5 shots, none of which were on target. We had 9 shots, 3 on target. So yeah, chances at a premium at both ends, and keepers with not a lot to do all game. Sorry, Nick, go ahead.
It was one of those games that it felt as much initially when I was thinking back at it, it felt as much as Huddersfield were really poor on the day, as much as I think we'd stepped our level up a bit from what we'd seen the last probably 1-2 months. But Huddersfield, I think I was very surprised at how little they brought to the game on Saturday. I thought it was going to be fairly obvious how we were going to set up, and I would have thought Liam Manning would have had some sort of plan for it. Didn't really transpire that way. I mean, Dion Charles up front has never really set the world alight since going to Huddersfield from Bolton. I think
He's no
Harness
Darius.
was yeah. Harness was the only one where I thought he could really cause us some trouble, and then I think he ended up on a booking fairly early on in the first half, and
Yep.
that meant that he couldn't really go chasing down defenders like he probably normally would to press at the risk of picking up another yellow. So yeah, I think it was a very Stevenage 1-0 win at home.
Yeah, I think you could see they had the makings of a good side. You could see why they were up in fifth, because they did challenge us. It was down to the strength and quality of that defensive unit. Well, I mean, the team's defensive shape that minimised their chances, and they did have that injury early on that deflected the momentum a little bit. Now, Jim mentioned the subs, so we replaced the front two on 66 minutes. Robertson, Cornick coming on for Phillips and Reed. That nullified us a bit. We weren't as good at gaining and retaining the possession and kind of bringing people in going forward.
Felt like
then
it killed our impetus a fair bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they made the baffling subs on 77 minutes. Sweeney came off the pitch. Sweeney was on a booking, so that made sense. But Saxon Early looked dead on his arse, so I was expecting it to be Early that came off the pitch with Freestone going out to left wing back. Louis Thompson came on for Houghton, which I was expecting to be for Dan Phillips, because Dan Phillips was on a booking. So both of those confused me somewhat. And then 5 minutes later, he brought Kemp on for Phillips, which I guess made sense. At 0-0, you're trying to get yourself a winner late on, and you're subbing off a more defensive guy on a booking to bring on a midfielder who will play that 10 role and support the strikers better, because that is something I think consistently when we have Thompson or, come on, name, you've just said it, Phillips up in that role behind the strikers as the most attacking midfielder, they don't support as well as you would get from a Kemper or Roberts in that role. It's more of a pressing defensive role than it is a creative bringing people in sort of thing. So yeah, talk us through your substitution frustrations.
Well, I mean, I think I've already said that. My first frustration is that we're so formulaic with them. Our game management is 60 minutes, we'll sub off 2 players, bring on 2 players. Did it last night, did it Saturday. And I think actually my biggest frustration was I felt that we started with the wrong team. I felt that if you're gonna bring on Piergianni at some point for one of the defenders, why isn't he starting? I don't know if he's taken a knock, but we never find out these things anyway. And I will always be the biggest Dan Kemp fan going. He causes problems no matter when you start him. If he's coming off the bench, if he starts, he's a pain in the arse. And I don't think we've got any formation, any system, any team lineup that is not better for having him in it. And those 2 subs alone led to the goal. And you know, how hard is it? You just put the ball on the big guy's head, he's our best header of the ball. And you know, and voila, we get result out of it. The other ones were confusing. You're right. Dan Phillips was booked on the hour, wasn't he? Around then, and that's a big part of his game. When he's on a yellow, you're waiting for him to get his red. So I was surprised he stayed on as long as he did. But yeah, it's quite formulaic. It's just frustrating because we keep calling out what subs are going to happen before they happen at the moment. And if we can do it in the stands, then you know. So can opposition managers.
I think we did the same against Northampton with Cornick. I mean, we've done it with Cornick for most of his time with us, especially when he started. You know, at an hour he's coming off, and I think it's going to be the same for Matt Phillips for the next few weeks probably, because you can't really afford to not start him at the moment. Ultimately, he's probably on paper our best player with the most experience at the highest level. So you don't leave players like that out, but evidently there's a fitness thing that we're managing. to enable him to start every game Saturday, Tuesday, and that is he comes off on the hour. I didn't as much as I wanted Phillips to stay on. I thought maybe give him till the 75th minute and then bring on the other striker. I've personally never liked changing your front two at the same time.
No,
because you end up in this position where the whole 2/3 of your team are up in the speed of the game, understanding what's gone on and the pace of it. And then you've got two players up front that are trying to get into that. And you don't get anything attacking out of that because they're still a yard off it for the first 10, 15 minutes that they're on before they've actually caught up. If you've got one striker that's doing that and one that isn't, then it probably helps the other one get up to speed quicker and you've still got someone to play off of. And that was quite evident on Saturday when we made those changes that we just completely fell out of that final third, really. Nothing was sticking. Even Roberts, I think, was struggling to get hold of the ball and look for a player because Cornick was still growing into the game, finding where the spaces were. And so it did feel a bit disjointed at a time when we were chasing to try and win the game ultimately.
yeah,
And that was my frustration with it. And as Pat's alluded to with early, Saxon has never, for the last 2.5 years, been able to play this amount of games in a consecutive stream. So I was I fully expected when I saw Pidge warming up that we're going to a back four. And that there was the change that we made on I can't remember who else it was. I think it was Houghton kept coming off on the 77th minute. I thought actually that's going to be early coming off, push Freeston out, and then potentially one of the midfielders changing to get us into a back four, essentially. Well, we could have even done it with Sweeney coming off, to be fair. You shift Pidge into the left centre-back, Good into right centre-back, Freestone left, Wilding right, and then bring someone else on for the midfield. And so I didn't quite understand what we were doing that for, but it kind of was alluded to that Sweeney's on a booking, played a lot of minutes, felt like the game was slipping away from us, which I think was probably because of the two subs up front more than anything. And just to be nitpicky, like I always like to be, I just didn't understand why you had to wait 5 more minutes to bring Kemp on. just do it at the same time. But that's being nitpicky. Ultimately, we won the game, and I do think something made a part in it. And so we can complain about the timings of them, but I think it's probably one of the first times, minus maybe the front two, that I think we've affected the game with changes. There's been games in the past where we've made changes and we've definitely looked worse for it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Barnsley away as a prime example when we switched formation as a result of Patterton's injury and we looked way worse for it. So to give him some credit for that evidently there was a benefit to what we did. But yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And more recently, it's been the latter. I think actually
it was typical of having baited me into slagging off the substitutions that Pidge would step up and score the goal with 5 minutes to go.
Yeah,
from a Harvey White cross, of course. And Good, I think, from the last it ended up being about 50 minutes because we had like 10 minutes added on. That we were the side that came closest to scoring the next goal in the game. I thought, Harvey White had a shot blocked, and although they came on and they got a bit backs to the wall, they crowded out that box really nicely and didn't let them have a shot on target. So it was a game well seen out once they got into the lead, and fair play to them for that. Good victory that brings Huddersfield tantalisingly into leapfrogging distance at the bottom of that playoff zone now. So we'll get onto the table after we've looked at the Port Vale game on Tuesday night. But any more thoughts on this game before we move on to that?
Just, I mean, you mentioned a Harvey White cross there. I lost my plot on Saturday with 8 minutes remaining on the clock, and we win a free kick just on the outside of the box, and Harvey steps up and smashes it into the first man. I lost my rag. The guy's enigmatic because I've lost the plot there, and then of course we win one a little bit later on. I'm just begging for anyone else to take it, just something different, and of course he puts it straight on Pidge's head, and we win the game and make me look like a tit. But I'm used to that.
I think I was talking. Someone started next to me in the stands. We were talking about the changes, and he's like, he goes, "I would have taken White off." I think it's when he took Phillips off. He's like, based on the game, I'd taken White off, and I was like, Yeah, but you never know when a set piece is going to come
Yeah.
along.
Yeah.
And at the same
Who else have
time,
you got?
yeah, and then at the same time, he said when Pidge was coming, I was like, why is he bringing Pidge on? Like, you're just doing a like for like. And then he goes, don't worry, he's going to go score. And then the free kick comes in and he scores. I was like, so I've kept White on, you've kept Pidge on. We'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
I do think with some of these, you can watch a game and players can be really underperforming, but they have that thing that you go, they could just bring something out in a moment. Phoenix is a really good example of it, that
Yeah.
he will just do a bit of magic and he might be having a really off game, but that one moment he does something, you'll score a goal as a result. And I think having Harvey White on the pitch is the exact same when it comes to set pieces. He'll do 5 terrible corners in a game, and then that last corner in the added time might be the perfect ball that he sticks onto Pidge's head or Sweeney's head, and you score a goal from it. And I think that's the frustration that we have to go through sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely agree. I mean, he had a free kick in the first half, and it was sort of gun barrel straight down the middle, and the keeper set the wall up to the left, and he's gone to the right, and he's tried to beat the keeper on the near side, and you're just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Even if it was on target, which it wasn't, he's going to save it, and he pull my hair out, and then at the end, of course, I just have to eat humble pie.
It was Liam Manning's first loss as Huddersfield manager. So
was it really?
It's ongoing. They've been on a fairly decent run going into that game. So I think we forget that context a lot when we're in a terrible run.
Yeah.
And you come up against a side like that, it's quite a big feat to really nullify them to the extent that they don't even have a shot on target and kind of send a manager on his way with his first defeat of his tenure. So.
We did that to Peterborough as well, didn't we? We've done that a couple of times.
Down to our level.
Yeah, we done it. We like doing that at home, didn't we? Bringing people down to our level.
Talking of dragging people down to your level, on Tuesday night we played Port Vale, and their level is currently 24th in League One, and you can kind of see why on this performance, although they did take the lead.
What a goal it was.
Exactly the same formation. Oh, yeah. Exactly the same formation, although the BBC would have you believe otherwise because they're insane. Pidge replaced Sweeney at the centre of defence. Thompson came in for Houghton, and Cornick started ahead of Reed. So 3 changes in personnel, but the same formation. It was a weird, feisty game. Like, yeah, you're right. They took the lead pretty early. What was the
10 minutes
time of that first goal? 10 minutes, yeah, really early. So just after Louis Thompson had got booked for that kind of high foot thing, pressing in their half.
Yeah.
They came down the other end. There was a miscommunication between Luther and Good about who was going to take their left winger before he crossed it in, which meant no one did. And he just put a ball down the corridor of uncertainty. All the centre-backs missed it somehow, and Stockley poked it in past Marshall, and everyone just kind of watched it trickle into the goal. It wasn't a consummate finish by any means, but it was one where I think there's multiple defensive errors that they'd like to have back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. I think it's a game you kind of have to win in that position, coming off the back of the Huddersfield result. Port Vale being in the 4-man position they are. Like, it was a game where, despite our run, it was one that we should expect to win, and evidently did. But I think we started very slowly. It did feel like here we go again against lower league. Lower. Well, they're soon to be lower league, but lower
in the league.
lower in the league opposition. It gave me flashbacks to Burton last year, if we remember that one. And especially when they scored that opening goal, and I thought, it can't
Charity
be one of those
Borough.
again. Yeah, we've gifted a goal out of our own temporary incompetence in that respect, and it just felt a bit of a pain. But then Dan Phillips scoring his first ever league goal.
Yeah,
what a rocket as well.
It's such a stupendous fashion.
I was still recovering from the header Pidge planted onto the post.
Yeah,
I was still going, oh my God, how's that stayed out? And then Phillips just larruped it in from 20 yards. It was magnificent hit.
It was really important that we got that equaliser fairly soon after.
Quickly,
I think that kicked them down the curb a little bit and gave us a bit of confidence to go on and push on to ultimately get the second.
Yeah, because they did look a little bit shaky after the goal. Like between the two goals, Pidge got booked for just getting skinned and rugby tackling a guy, as we sometimes see. And that's what happens when Pidge gets isolated on a wing with a fast guy. It's just the way it's going to be. But no, they bounced back well. They showed good resilience from going behind, and Phillips's goal was well deserved. And we took the lead a few minutes later. Cornick going in really bravely on the left-hand post and getting pretty horribly injured as a result. Stretched off, taken to hospital, had like a 10-minute gap in the game. So best wishes to him for that recovery. It's not going to be a speedy one, I don't think.
No.
And really tough to see because the front two of him and Phillips was working quite well. Once they picked themselves up after that first goal concession, I thought Cornick was playing the best football we've seen from him so far. So it's a real loss, and it leaves us pretty short up top. It's now like Phillips and Reed and shrugs.
Yeah, you could tell that we were making those partnerships of you'd have Roberts or Matt Phillips as one striker, and then Cornick and Reed would be the other, and we could alternate those pairings to make whatever we needed to, and we saw that with Cornick coming in for Reed for the game last night. You're now in a position where it's okay. Reed's the only one there now to play that kind of role, and you're relying on Matt Phillips, who has been brilliant, but isn't a striker naturally. He's a aging winger who we're moving into that forward line, and Roberts, who is also not a striker, coming into fill a role, and they've both done that really well, but they're not natural strikers. They're not necessarily going to be the finishers with the natural instinct that Cornick showed before he ended up ending his night early, and what we've seen from Reed as well. So we are probably going to be relying on creating more chances and converting a smaller proportion of them than what we might have hoped with Cornick and Reed to play a part.
Yeah, that's fair. We talked about subs in the previous game, so this one we had the enforced one on 33 minutes is what it's down as. He scored on 24, so that tells you how long it took to treat him and stretching him off. Then triple subs on 65 minutes. Dan Phillips for Houghton, Louis Thompson for Dan Kemp, and Matt Phillips for Jordan Roberts. So two of the midfield and the striker. And as you say, a kind of utility striker in Roberts' case. He's got the stature and the ability to cause defenders problems, but it's not his primary position that he creates the most from, I don't think. And then another enforced sub in injury time with Saxon Early getting hurt and being replaced by Sweeney. So it's tough. And it's particularly tough, I think, if you're one of those wingers that we brought in the summer that we were all excited about having on the books, because now we're basically playing a formation that doesn't use any wide midfielders. The width is Luther and occasionally Early, and that's about it. So if you're Patterson, Campbell, you're now reduced to twiddling your thumbs, warming up and doing some keepy uppies at halftime, but you're not really involved in matches, which seems I don't know how we square that circle. What are your thoughts?
I mean, my first thought is I just like, especially Phoenix. I feel so sorry for him. I feel so sorry for Phoenix. On Saturday, when we made the subs around the 70th minute, you just saw him steam off up the tunnel, and I made the joke that he was off to the job centre because what has he got to do? And then last night, I mean, last night he was just patrolling that line, warming up, and at points he was just cutting such a lonely figure. For a player that really gets me out of my chair, just seeing the way we're not using him, it's quite sad to watch, to be honest. But then it's moments as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really, I think there's an element of we're very conservative in our initial setup of games, and we did that with the 4 as much as we do it with the 5, and we saw that a lot with the Barla starting games out wide, which, to give him his dues, defensively he always did a job. The problem we always have had with Labala is his ability to get forward and support the front line, and that has left players isolated. So we've always gone with a conservative approach, and it's always been defence first, attack second. And so Phoenix has played left wing back. He did that at Fleetwood for a whole season, if not slightly longer, I think. And so it's a role that he knows. It's a role that he has played before. But I think we're just in that position that we're not willing to risk it to put him into those spots yet, especially with how we've leaked some goals of late, albeit not the last 2 games, but before then, 3 at Northampton, 3 at Barnsley. I think it was 3 at Barnsley.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And so I think we have been a little bit cautious of that front, but we don't know what the result of Saxon's injury is going to be, and that might lend to either, if we want to keep the system, Phoenix comes in at that left wing back, and we see if he can do similar to what he done at Fleetwood. And when you've got someone like Lewis Freestone as that left centre back, who is very good defensively, good on the other side, is also great at 1v1s. It should allow us to push those wing backs on a little bit more. All you've got to work on is that shape. So if one of the wing backs goes flying, that the other one might tuck in to make the 4 defensively. But there's options there. It's whether we want to explore them to try and be a little bit riskier in getting forward and getting bodies into that final third, or whether we're happy to consolidate and go for our same old clean sheet, nick a goal, and see if we can see out a game.
Yeah, it does make you wonder with Patterson whether he could be the backup to Early in that left wing back role, or the alternative 10 if you want a Kemp or someone more creative and less reliant on pressing and nicking it off people to create stuff. Whether those are roles that you could utilize him in, so he's not just doing nothing and being a body on a bench.
We saw that with Chem. I mean, against Barnsley, and I think it was and at Northampton, to be fair, he brought him on and put him in the 10 because Roberts was up front. Kemp either started the game or was the change to come in. So we've seen him use Chem in that spot. We've not yet seen Phoenix have a run in that space. I'm sure we had no intention of going to a back 3 at any point during this season on a regular basis, and hence why we went and signed 2 wingers and paid money for Phoenix. We wouldn't have paid money to the extent I think we probably did pay to get him off of Fleetwood to not be using him. And he's still relatively young. I think he's 24. Chem's 22.
Yeah.
And I don't think this 3-back system is in any way our long-term solution to anything. It feels like our stability system to get us some confidence back into the squad, and then we can look at alternative ways of playing. But hopefully we've got that on the horizon, because it is a shame not to see players like Chem and Phoenix in the squad with what they can bring.
It's true. And it's working, I guess, with 3 runs on the bounce at home and steadying the ship, moving things in the right direction. Certainly looked a steadier ship than Port Vale's, who, once they went 2-1 down, you could tell they were a low confidence, frustrated side. We saw that booking for Stockley, who was generally a wind-up merchant on the day, and got the booking that was
lucky not to get a second one, wasn't he?
Yeah, quite. And then Andre Gray went in on the keeper and got booked into injury time in the first half. Could have had a second shortly after that in the injury time period as well. So, yeah, I didn't see that incident well enough to know whether the red card shouts that some people in the north were giving were valid or not. What were your thoughts on that?
It was petulant. I was in the north. It was just petulant. He's hung a leg out while the goalkeeper's in the process of taking a drop kick. And letter of the law, he gave the free kick. I think it's a first yellow, not a second yellow, maybe.
Yeah, okay, it's one of those.
Yeah,
it wasn't really the game. It wasn't really the game for a red card off 2 yellows kind of thing. I mean, I summed it up earlier, and as I didn't really blame them for their game plan. It's obvious their squad is not at the level to compete in League One, so you expected them to sit in anyway. And then when they go and take the lead, you expect them to sit in even more. And then getting sucker punched by our equaliser, that was enough, I think, for them to start folding. And the quality is just not there in that squad to maintain any real solidity to keep teams out, especially when realistically we're pushing up playoffs. We're looking to put pressure on these kind of teams and take points off them. They are going to struggle. I don't think there's much that Brady can do to turn that around, to be honest. They've just not got the quality in there to sustain it. So, I imagine they will not move from that 24th place spot for the rest of the season.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah, I
big
can't
gap
see
down
it.
there now. We'll get onto the table. I wanted to complain about Harvey White's booking for time wasting in the 94th minute at a corner
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I think we'd seen 20 set pieces in that game that had taken us long to get the ball in play. And when you haven't booked the previous 20, it seems really harsh to book that one with no warning at all. It's not like he blew his whistle and waved at him to get the ball in play and got ignored. He just whipped the card out for no, like, I was baffled. And then there was a throw in for Port Vale down the other end, which they took just as long to get in play, like 2 minutes later. And it's like, what? Why? Why are you not consistent with this?
He'd spoken to Harvey earlier in the game about where he was placing the ball, hadn't he, a couple of times on the quadrant. Very similar to Saturday, although the referee on Saturday was a little bit more pantomime about it. And I think that was probably the referee saying to Harvey, I've had enough of your shit, more than anything.
It's the adding up approach. You've annoyed me too many times. You're going in a book.
Yeah. I mean, what I would like to bring up is Charlie Good Gates.
Yeah, love it. Yeah.
Where on Saturday, I think he got away with it. Where if a throw's in the perfect position for him to run from the East Terrace corridor or concourse via the yellow gate.
That's why he was making him move. I wondered what was going on.
Yeah. He went over and opened the steward's gate and stepped out into the concourse to take the throw.
To get an extra
I mean, that gate's there for both teams, right? You can use it if you want.
Well, last night's referee wasn't too keen on it.
Yeah.
Spoil sport.
But yeah, so
I'm sure the big black gates at the back of the east let him have a proper run up out on the 602.
Well, it keeps being that one gate because Saxon does the other side. And it's the only one that is close enough for a long throw into the box. So I think we might see it a few more times. Maybe we just need to tactically place a steward there that's prepared to just do it nice and quickly, ready for him to get in and get the throw in before the referee notices.
I absolutely welcome an away player trying that from the East Terrace as well, stepping out into the East Terrace to take a throw, and we'll see how it goes.
Brave choice. The brave choice. Yeah. They did switch Saxon out to the right for one. And then they tried to switch him out for the second one. And Scott Cuthbert from just outside went, "No, you do it, Charlie. You come back over here."
I don't think Saxon was too keen on the running across to one side of the pitch to have to run back to the other side either. I remember Good pointing at him going, "This one's yours," and Saxon was going, "What? Me?"
Really? Again, come on. 60 yards of this really tacky, waterlogged, horrible surface. Look, the groundsmen are doing their best. The conditions they're having to deal with are horrendous. It looks really heavy to run in for 100 minutes in the freezing cold. It's tough out there.
It does make sense. Good's one of our tallest players. You want him in the box.
You do.
But
you do.
Saxon is made a bit of glass, so probably the least. If you can do less running, it would be helpful.
The worst job as a left back. Oh, we've got to throw in 5 yards from the right hand corner. Do you want to go and take this? No, not really. We've been running for 80 minutes. Like, I just get in my position and hold the line. All right. Any other thoughts on this one before we move on to Nick's quiz, which is next?
We need to ban sponsors from doing man of the match.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I mean, look, it went to Cage on one of his most mediocre games of the season.
Yeah.
Who would you have gone with?
I would have gone probably Dan Phillips, to be honest.
He had a good game.
I think he is a player that. He's a player that the last few games I think has really stepped up. The one thing we've always said about Dan Phillips is he's not the best on the ball, and yet I feel like he's been one of the best on the ball the last couple of games at least for us, and I think he's actually probably solidified that role for himself when he's fully fit and not knackered after playing 3-4 games on the bounce. To hold that position, which in fairness, start of the season he was probably on the ropes a bit in terms of having a regular run of games. I remember when he came on. I think he came on in the FA Cup game against Chesterfield and looked really poor. And around that time, it looked like he really wasn't going to play much of a part this year. But he's really stepped up of late, especially when Houghton was out injured.
Yeah, he made that point in his post-match press conference. You're right.
Yeah.
I would have urged Lord Phillips as well. Much as I don't like giving it to a guy who was subbed off on like 65 minutes because he feels like you missed such a chunk of the game. It should go to someone who plays a bit longer. But he packed in a lot of important stuff in those 65 minutes. And you're right, like on the ball, driving forward, creating opportunities. He was there. He even resisted just kicking a guy over when the guy beat him once, which I don't think I've ever seen from him before. So, that's a new level of restraint that I've got respect for.
And
How about you, Jim? Who was your man of the match?
Well, I've got to agree, Phillips, but we were expecting, because of the way our sponsors usually go, we were expecting something like a Cornick, going with the not sympathy vote, that's too harsh, but he had put in a good performance before he got crocked. So
yeah.
I
But
think,
Phillips was a good shout.
I think it's also worth giving Reedy some plaudits as well, because I thought when he came on for Cornick, he really put a shift in as that second
He did.
striker. I mean, he had a couple of opportunities where didn't quite fall for him in at the final opportunity in terms of a shot or getting it on target, but worked incredibly hard to get into certain positions that we haven't really seen a huge amount.
Created a bit as well.
Yeah,
He had a couple of times where he got to the byline and either the cutback didn't find a player, or it just nicked off a defender. So
yeah.
he performed well. Yeah.
And he's had his fair share of criticism probably the last 2 years, which to a certain extent I've always felt was slightly unjustified on occasion. But yeah, I thought he really put a shift in last night, and it gives you a little bit of confidence that with Cornick inevitably out for the rest of the season, that we still do have a very, very good number 9 who can score and create at this level, and I don't think we should forget that as a fan base.
Yeah.
The one thing we need to see more, I think, is there was times when he'd bring in Luther and Louis Thompson would make a crossing opportunity down the right-hand side, and he'd still be stood behind the two of them where he got Luther involved. And what you need from him is, as soon as he's got Luther involved and Thompson's there to back him up to get the crossing, he needs to beeline to the 6-yard box to be there for that cross coming in, right? Because there's very few options in there if he's not when that cross goes in. So yeah, that's one thing we could have a bit of an improvement on. But overall, 6 points, 2 games, moving on up the table, just settling the nerves a little bit that we're settling in after that bad run, I think, which is a positive for everyone concerned. Any final thoughts on this game?
Nah, put it to bed.
Good stuff. All right, Nick, you have a quiz for us.
I do. I have thought long and hard about this, and I even got a bit creative with some of these. So what we are going to play is a game of higher and lower.
Ooh.
The way that we're going to do it is you'll take it in turns, and there's a point each for getting it right. So there's 5 each, and we'll see if we get full houses or if we get a couple of slip-ups. I've put some very fun ones in, so I am quite excited for this. As Jim is our guest and Pat, you're the regular, then we will start with Jim to answer. The starting point I thought would be rather fitting that we go with Andre Gray's highest transfer value in millions, which was £20 million when he went to Watford in 2017. Rather fitting that he got absolutely pocketed last night. So, so that's the base. So the answer is 20 to that. And what I'm going to ask you, Jim, is higher or lower Jamie Reed's most goals scored in a single league campaign?
Ooh.
In a single league campaign.
This is for us.
I'm gonna say lower.
You are correct. It's 18.
Nice.
It feels like it's just about there, so I'm not surprised it's really close.
It was just about 18 in that first season back up in League One for us. So
what fills me with confidence is I would have got that one wrong. So
I'll be honest. I thought that was one of the easier ones of what I've done here. So, so the next one, Pat. So against the 18 goals that Jamie Reed scored in that season, higher or lower the number of appearances that Ben Wilmot made for Stevenage?
Oh, I think that is lower.
If you were to put a number on, what do you think it is?
15.
Bang on 15. So it is lower.
Nice. Enough
Uh,
to get your face on the boards on the Broadway Way. Well done.
Yeah.
15 appearances. Legend.
Now, I admit this is where I started to get a little bit excited and maybe a bit odd. So against those 15 appearances that Ben Wilmot made, Jim, did Jamie Jones get more or less clean sheets than 15?
Oh, that's disgusting.
Jesus. I'm going to say he got fewer. He was with us in a horrible time.
It was fewer. He got 13 though, which I thought
Ooh.
wasn't bad going for Jamie Jones.
Yeah.
Closer than I
yeah.
expected. Yeah, I'd have gone fewer
Yeah.
as well.
Absolute sieve.
Pat, for you, this one, I debated whether I put this one in because I thought maybe it's a little bit negative, but also we're in better times now, so it's okay for us to put these ones kind of in. So against those 13 clean sheets for Jamie Jones, in the 1920 COVID season, did we have more or less losses than 13?
Oh, I can't remember how many games we got to.
This is why I threw this one in.
It's good. It's a good one. It's disgusting. I'm going to go higher because it was miserable.
It was higher, and when I looked at it, I thought this is much higher than I would have liked it to have been because we didn't even play a full season. The answer's 20.
Oh my god!
Jesus.
So I think
That
we
was
played
around middle of March, wasn't
I
it?
think we played 36 games at that point, and we'd lost 20 games. We'd won 3.
Wow.
Not even Port Vale have lost that many games this season.
Yeah. Okay. Jim, this one's quite mean, but I had to put it in there. So the 20 games that we lost in the 1920 season. But the question is, did Jefferson Louis play for more clubs than 20 permanently only, not including loans?
Oh, permanently only.
Not including
Christ.
loans.
That really throws a spanner in the works because if it was loans as well, he's into 40s.
If he went to a place permanently and then went to another place permanently and then went back to that first place permanently,
I've only counted it as one
2
team.
or 1.
So if he's
Okay,
it's
so
number of clubs, so it's not
unique
how many
clubs.
changes. It's
I'm
just
going to say fewer than 20 then.
you are wrong.
Oh,
The answer
It's going to be 21, isn't it?
no, 38.
what?
Permanent.
Yeah.
Are you including 5-a-side teams?
I've just gone through on his Wikipedia how many were there and then took out the loans. I think it's 41 when you add the loans.
That is insane.
Yeah, and that's
Adding on 5-a-side teams and bowling teams.
that is total clubs. That's not even like the amount of times he's moved. So he's moved more than that because there was one club 4 times, but in different spells. So
He played amazing when he was on trial, though, didn't he? He was like, if he was looking for a contract, he was unbeatable.
Oh yeah. So that's the first incorrect answer. So Pat, this is for you to take the lead. But the question is, did John Ashton captain more or less than 38 games for Stevenage?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna go more.
He did do more. He captained us 48 times.
Wow.
Which I was impressed with. Okay. Next one, Jim, for you. So the answer 48 that we're comparing against.
Yep.
And the question is number of Stevenage players who have achieved over 100 appearances. Now, this includes your Stevenage Towns, your Stevenage Athletics,
Oh, wow.
Stevenage Borough. This is based on what Stevenage FC Archives have for the appearance lists. So it's over 100 appearances.
And we were on 48, yeah.
We're on 48.
Feels like we'd have fewer. I'm going to say fewer.
We've had more. We've had 57 players.
57. Bloody
achieve
hell.
over 100 appearances.
Huh?
So I was fairly surprised. Yeah. I think even if you went to like 150, we still had a good 30, 40 odd players that had achieved that
Jesus.
feat. But
Yeah, long before my time.
yeah. Pat. So against 57, more higher or lower, the average total goals we have conceded in a League One season. It excludes this season. There are 5 seasons prior. Is our average goals conceded over those 5 seasons higher or lower than 57?
This is all going to come down to just how bad the Gary Smith season was, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because most of the rest of the time we've been pretty tidy, but
There was some swings. I will say.
atrocious. I'm going to go lower.
Oh, you're so jammy. 57. 2.
Wow.
Right. So Pat has technically already won, but we're going to do the last 2. I might make. To be fair, I'm going to make the second one worth 3 points for Jim because they're fun. So against 55, did Ronnie Henry receive more red plus yellow cards combined in his Stevenage career?
In his entire career.
Well,
So
his
this
entire
isn't just league.
Stevenage career,
Yeah.
total yellow and red cards, is it more or less than 55? He played over 400 games for us.
He wasn't a filthy player though, so I'm tempted to go lower. I'm going to say lower.
It is lower.
Yeah.
53.
Yeah.
So with your extra
Close.
3 points, now Pat has to get this right to win.
Oh, this is a classic leaf out of Nate's book, changing the rules on the penultimate question as well, isn't it?
I'm here for it. I
Master has
like
learned from the apprentice. No,
And I will say, I was really proud of myself for this one. Really, really proud of myself for this one. So against an answer of 53, we're going to cast our minds back to the 11th of October 2014, where we played Carlisle United, and we named a certain goalkeeper on our bench, and his name was Dave Besant. What's Dave
was he
Besant?
older or younger than 53?
Older or younger than 53?
Oh my god. Oh, amazing. I mean, his son was in the side, wasn't he? So how old was Sam? And how old was he when Sam was born? I don't know why the answer to any of those questions, so I don't know why I'm trying to.
So that's not helping you. Yeah.
No. And look, if he was in his 50s, there's more of his 50s higher than lower, so the percentage guess should be higher. But I'm not going higher, I'm going lower.
I can confirm that on that day, on the 11th of October 2014 versus Carlisle United, Dave Besant was 55 years old.
55, crikey.
He is now 66. And on that, you had the opportunity for an extra 3 points there, Pat, that you did not get. Which means
well played, Jim. Well played, Nick.
Jim has won 5-4 in higher to lower. So
Great.
Wow.
Love that.
Some of those have opened my eyes.
I genuinely spent like a good hour or so trying to research for that. I initially was trying to find players that had also played for us and Wrexham. That was a real rabbit hole that I went down, but did not make it into the final cut.
Incredible. All right, let's take a quick look at the league table and then think about what's coming up on Saturday. So the aforementioned Port Vale are bottom, 22 points from 28 games, 9 points behind Rotherham United and Wigan Athletic. Burton Albion are at the top of the relegation places, 32 points from 30 games, 1 point behind Doncaster Rovers, Blackpool and Leyton Orient, who have risen all the way to 18th. Good for them. Northampton Town sit 17th on 34 points from 31 games. Then comes Barnsley on 38. AFC Wimbledon, Exeter City and Mansfield Town all on 39, take us up to 13th place. Plymouth Argyle are on 40 points in 12th. Wycombe Wanderers are 11th on 43 points. Peterborough United are on 44 points in 10th. We're up to 9th on 45 points. Luton Town, 8th on 45 points. Reading, 7th, 46. Huddersfield Town are on 49 at the bottom of the playoff places. 3 points back from Bradford City on 52. Stockport County on 53. Bolton Wanderers on 56 in third place. And then Lincoln City on 62 and Cardiff City on 66 sit in the automatic spot. So we're back in the top 10. Did we ever leave the top 10? We're back in the single digits. Let's put it that way. I thought we were within striking distance from Huddersfield, and I guess we are because we've got 2 games in hand, but we're 4 points behind them. We've got a game in hand on Luton and Reading as well. So if you can start stringing some back-to-back wins together, which we haven't for a while, we can get back up there, and fingers crossed for that. Saturday lunchtime, we face Wycombe Wanderers, who are 11th. I think there might be an in-play point going on there because Luton are playing right now, aren't they?
Yeah, Wigan and Luton are playing at the moment. I think Wycombe are in 10th.
Yeah.
I think your table's from before last night.
Oh,
we are within a
point.
point.
BBC.
We are within a point
Scandals.
of Huddersfield after last night's results.
Yeah, very much.
That's what I thought. See, I mock Nate for getting this wrong every time he gets it wrong, and I've done exactly what he does every time I mock him. Fine.
Yes, because Huddersfield lost to Doncaster last night, as we picked up another 3. So
cool. So
we are in real striking
into last night's games instead of after last night's games. That's very helpful for me. I won't put you to all that again.
I'll be honest, not a huge amount has changed. Yeah. There's a couple here and there, but
so we're looking even better than I just know. So let's look at the game this weekend at Wycombe. We beat them in our own backyard. Pidge with the only goal of the game, which is sums us up this season. And they're on so form coming into this one. 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses in their last 6. They've had 11 wins, 11 draws, 10 losses this season. We'll be looking to even up that record. They're quite a middling side by the looks of it this season. They're close-ish to a playoff push, but they don't have the form that suggests they're going to make one. What do you reckon our chances are in this one?
I mean, the away form is what concerns me. It'd be great to get. I'd take a point right now. Also interested to see if Labala's fit. Play him against his old team.
Yeah,
I'll take a point.
The away games, the away form, as you allude to, is still the uncertain part of this pick-up in form because, like we've spoken about, the 3 games we've played have all been at home. So it is the first challenge on the road as to whether we can maintain that kind of standard and quality outside of Broadhall Way, not Stevenage FC Stadium. So, and it's an early kickoff, which you can never trust. So I'm probably
don't put it in your acca again, Nate.
No. But I think I'm with you, Jim. A point, and I'd probably walk away fairly happy with a decent enough performance to go alongside it.
Good caveat.
Yeah, looking at the home and away tables, we are 8th in the away table, which is higher than I thought, but it's 5 wins, 3 draws, 8 losses. So, yeah, there's plenty of losses in there. Wycombe are way higher in the home table than they are in the away table, down in 16th in the away, but in home they've won 9, drawn 3, lost 4. So, yeah, scored 30, conceded 15. They're pretty formidable at home. So, yeah, maybe not as pleasant a ride as I was hoping for.
And I mean, when you look at upcoming fixtures, Wycombe away, Stockport at home, Burton away. They're kind of the Burton Wycombes are the ones you'd like to pick up some points from before then having a run where we've got Plymouth, Reading are in good form and they come to us. Bolton away, which is probably a place where you go not likely to pick up points. Bradford away is another one we've got later in the calendar. So there's not many opportunities to pick up points on the road, I think, when we start heading into the latter game weeks. So yeah, 3 points against Wickham and 3 points against Burton, I'd be thrilled with. But at least a point from this weekend will be a good, consistent run of form, I think.
And that's a good shout because they've been scoring fairly freely recently. Like the last time they were held to a clean sheet was Peterborough United back in the end of January. But since then, Cardiff held them to 1. And Exeter held them to 1. But apart from that, they scored multiple times in every game. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough test for that back line. But you know, we know that's a strength. And yeah, maybe that cagey initial setup will pay dividends for them away from home. You know, you've got to hope it's good for something.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how we set up in that game, especially depending on what state Saxon's in.
Yeah.
Because love Freestone to bits. He cannot play as a left wing back. So it's going to be a decision of do you play a Phoenix there, or if Pattendon is fit, do you shift Wilding out to left wing back, Pattendon on the right? They're the kind of things that I think will be interesting to see what he does, because if we revert back to the 4 at the back, I think questions will be raised. And I don't think it's something we would be happy to do going into an away game, to be quite honest. You want to try and keep some consistency there. So that'll be really interesting to see how he manages that.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see whether we stick with the 2 up front in the absence of Cornick, or whether that changes based on the availability we've got there. But yeah, time will tell. So good luck to everyone making the journey up there. I'm sure you'll support us loud and proud, and I'll be hearing you on 3 counties over the effects mics, assuming the wind's not too strong. It normally picks up the wind stronger than anything else for some reason. Yeah, Godspeed to everyone making the trip.
I will make the decision on Friday evening if I'll be going, because the prices do not rise for tickets on the day. So we'll find out if I'm going to be there.
That's the best way to go. So, any other thoughts on that game or anything else Borough related before we sign off?
I think so.
Excellent. Well, we will talk to you next week, hopefully after another 3 points in the bag, although not with any optimism of that based on what we've just talked about. But either way, I hope you have great weekends. And until next time, up the Borough.
Cheers, guys. Woo, yeah.
I love the question of woo. Thanks, Nate.